Alright, so the first problem of this game is that you have to pick your master first for some reason. Now, in the first, I like this game, but it has so many problems. Like, in the original Peggle, I always thought the strategy of being able to see the board, see where the oranges are, see where the greens are, and then pick your master, that was one of the fun parts of the game to me. But in this game, you just have no idea where the green is going to be. You just have like no plan, no strategy. As you can see, the multi-ball on the left is at the bottom, so it's just not going to do anything. So when stuff like that happens, you kind of just have to restart. Sometimes not that big of a deal. You just keep restarting until you get a different character, or you pick, or the pegs are at a better spot. But in a multiplayer, there is no restarting. You can't just restart when the greens are in a bad spot. So if you're in duel or peg party, you're just screwed because you couldn't see the board. So it just makes zero sense. Like, why'd they make it like that? In Peggle 1, I can look at the board and be like, oh, look, the greens are in the fish's eye, so I'm just going to use Space Blast and blow the fish's eye out. Like, what was wrong with that? Like, I don't see a problem with that. Like, I like the fact that you could actually strategize and see where the oranges were. So, like, oh, if I could hit the green early, I'll pick Tula or I'll pick Spooky Ball. You know? That made sense to me. I feel like there was a real strategy in that game, especially in the multiplayer. But I guess not. That's not what they saw. For whatever reason, you have to pick your character first. Which, if you're Yorn or you're Windy or you're Luna, it can really mess you over. Because if you don't have a ability that can really clear an area, if you have a green peg that's hidden, which near some bricks or it's below some bricks, or it's the end of the, or it's at the bottom of the level, and you can't reach it, then you might only get one green, or you might not get any of them. You know, because if you're Jeff or you're Norman, you have Uber or you have Boulder, you can just clear a bunch of pegs. You'll probably be fine. But if you're these other characters that really don't rely on just destroying an area, you might get screwed. Or you might not be able to get that peg. So, just a very confusing design choice that just makes no sense to me. So another problem with the game is the physics of the ball. I mean, the ball physics just make zero sense in this game. Like, is it enough to kill the game? No, but it's enough that it makes you say, like, why did they make the ball like that? So the ball is definitely lighter, it's floatier, and it's like smaller. It doesn't hit as many pegs as it should. And it sometimes feels like the ball just falls down for no reason. Sometimes you'd have these shots in Peggle 1 where like the ball will get stuck on the wall, but it feels like you don't get the ball trapped in this game at all. Like, you have some maps where you could trap the ball like 4-2 or stuff like that. Sometimes it gets trapped in like a circle. This game, that rarely ever happens. Like, the bounces in this game just make zero sense. Like, I just can't explain. Like, you just gotta play the game and you just know, like, something is off. Like, if you just play the games back to back. Now, thankfully, there's some levels that were reused in Peggle 2 for Jimmy's DLC, which is kind of lame, but it's whatever. And then you can see the ball bounces in Peggle 1 is just much different. It's like a completely different game. Like, you really just have to play the game to really know. Like, the way the ball bounces in one. Now, every version of the game has a slightly different bounce. So if you do a shot on Xbox, it's not gonna bounce the same way as on the PC or on Peggle Dual Shot or stuff like that. But it's gonna still be a little more consistent than whatever the hell Peggle 2 is. Like, look at that bucket shot. A bucket shot like that will never happen on Peggle 2. The bucket in Peggle 2 never bounces the ball up like that. The bucket is like larger and it doesn't propel the ball like that at all. I just feel like you don't get shots like that in Peggle 2 at all. Now, some of the shots I show here are going to be a little stronger because the super guide is much better, but just look at the bounces it takes. It just feels off. Like, sometimes it feels like you should have hit a peg and you didn't. Like, it's just hard to explain. Like, without really playing the games back to back, like, you can look and see that, yeah, the shots are off, and yeah, it's just not it. I mean, besides, like, look at that slide. When you do the extreme slide in Peggle 1, it shoots off of that peg at the bottom and you get another slide. In this game, it doesn't. Like, the physics are just all messed up. It's just all wrong. Like, I just don't get it. And it's just weird. It just makes zero sense. So that's one of the big problems with the game. The shots are just all off. And it doesn't kill the game, but it's noticeable, man. Like sometimes you'll just have certain shots where you just should have got more points, or the ball should have bounced a certain way, and it just didn't. Like it's just frustrating because in Peggle 1, those shots they make a lot more sense. But it's just how it is. Like some people argue that the physics are better. I don't see it. I prefer the Peggle 1. Some people say it makes more sense in 2. I disagree. I disagree. But sometimes just because it's different, maybe that's why I'm not a fan of it. Just because it's different. Because I've heard some people say they don't mind it, but to me, it's a big problem. I just don't like it. I didn't get the full slide, but as you can see, even when you fall down in Peggle 1, you most of the time you're gonna hit off of that peg at the bottom. And I show the shot here just to show the difference of when you get the full slide. Because Peggle 2 reuses Spiral of Doom, Skate Park, and Buffalo Wings, so I can show off the shot. Obviously, it's not gonna be as good because the super guide isn't as strong, and I think I messed up the slide here. But even when you get to this lower area, it still bounces off that peg at the bottom. It doesn't do that in Peggle 2, so physics just all messed up. So the third problem with this game is look at this. There's only 7 masters. I mean, they even have extra room on the select screen. That just shows how little characters there are. I mean, 7. The original Peggle had 10. That's not even counting Knights, which had 11. I mean, only 7 masters? Like, they probably planned for an extra master, but the game didn't go as well as they planned, which, I mean, big surprise. Game's not even on PC. What the hell did they expect? But Super Guide and Multi Ball were already in the last game, so we're only getting 5 new masters compared to Peggle 1, which obviously gave you 11 new masters because there was no Peggle before then, or 10 new, and then 11 with Knights. But if that was your first game, but this game just gives you only 5, and 2 of them you have to pay for, and one of them in Jimmy was already in the last game, so I'm paying for a character that was in the last game just because he has a slight upgrade. That is so stupid. Like, I understand that they didn't want to bring back some of the old masters because some of them were gimmicky, like the flippers, or spooky ball just too similar to the multi ball, or like the pyramid that just sucked and wasn't good at all. But like, why not just bring some of them back? Who didn't like the Zen ball? Who didn't like triple score? A lot of people like spooky ball. I mean, I think it sucks, but a lot of people like it. But like, I don't get why they couldn't at least bring back more of the classic masters, because obviously they were struggling for ideas for masters since there's only so many. There's only 7, and they needed DLC to get to 7. The base game only came with 5, and one of them is Yorn, who was in the original. So they could only come up with 4 new powers? Or were they just lazy? Did they not want to create the masters, or were they could not think of anything? Were they not creative, or were they lazy? I don't know. Obviously, they were going for quantity over quality, but I mean, you can't have half as many as before. I mean, a sequel's supposed to have more levels, more characters. I mean, that's just kind of pathetic when you only have that many masters. And then you can really make an argument that Jeff's Boulder is similar to Cinderbottom's Fireball, and that Luna's Nightshade, that's a power that's taken from another version of Peggle where Master Zen Ball doesn't work as it should. But that's a discussion for another day. So you can really make an argument that these powers they're borrowed from other Peggle games, so it's not like, they did something special with them. So that's just kind of another problem. I know they're going for quality over quantity, but they could have did so much more with the Masters. Only 5 and then 7 with DLC is very underwhelming. I think everyone's main complaint with this game is the fact that it's not on PC. That's the main complaint with this game. And it's a fair complaint. I don't like really playing Peggle for controller. I love to play Peggle on my phone or with a keyboard and mouse or anything like that. I mean, playing with a controller, it feels kind of stiff. It doesn't really feel right. Being able to use your thumb to just shoot the ball or your mouse is just much smoother, much more smooth. And this game not being on PC, I think it really killed the game. The whole stupid Xbox One timed exclusive. People were already down on the Xbox One, so the fact that this was a timed exclusive for it, I don't think that sit well for a lot of people. And then just look at the consoles it was on. I mean, 360, Xbox One, PS4. I mean, not even a PS3. I mean, that's just kind of weird. I mean, if you're gonna do 360, do PS3. I mean, why not? But I mean, I just don't really get why it couldn't be on the PC. I mean, I think it not being on there really killed this game because even Peggle Knights to this day still gets a bunch of level packs. Peggle still gets mods on the PC. You're not really gonna get that stuff from Peggle 2 on the PC. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, and there's no portable version either. So, I mean, you look at the original Peggle, it came out on PC, came out on a lot of portable devices. This game, you're stuck playing it on your couch or in your chair, and I think it was just a complete wrong decision. So, what you see me doing is Peg Party and Duel are back on the console versions, but for some reason there is no local duel, which, I mean, my bad, there is a local duel. Wait. Sorry. There's a local duel. There's no master duel against the computer. That's what I meant to say. So for some reason, there's no master duel against the AI, which I don't know why that's not in the game. I mean, that's kind of the bare minimum. But even Peggle 2 has online, and the online is fine, but the matchmaking just makes 0 sense. So you either have to make a private match where only your friends can join or people that you invite, or you have to go into a smart match. And a smart match is the dumbest thing in the entire game. So it basically just puts you in like a queue or like a search, and you're kind of just stuck waiting. So you can't like create a lobby like the original Peggle on 360 and PS3 and have people join. You basically just get stuck in a queue and you're just waiting for other people to join. And I don't get why it has to be like that. So if you want to create a lobby, the only way to create a lobby and actually wait for people and create your own settings and stuff like that is to have a private lobby. So if you're just trying to play with randoms, you're just gonna be stuck waiting. You have no idea how many people are on the game. In Peggle 1, you could just search and it would tell you how many people would be on, what lobbies, and for some reason this game doesn't have ranked duel, it doesn't have ranked peg party, it doesn't have leaderboards. So even the online is lacking. So like if you're gonna keep it console exclusive, then I'm gonna compare it to the original console version of Peggle, which did online way better. It has more leaderboard options, has ranked, it has better matchmaking. So even if we're just comparing, you're gonna put on the console, you didn't even do that right because it's a worse version of the Peggle on 360 already. So what did you really do by making a console exclusive? They probably wanted to take advantage of like Xbox Live, PSN, but look at the original Peggle. It's just much better. It's just much better. You have your Master Duel, and for some reason it's not in the original, which is kind of whatever. And I don't think a lot of people really cared about Duel against the AI, but why can't you have a ranked match? And then look, you go to a player match, you have quick match where you can find any game quick. You have custom match where you can create your own settings. I don't know why you can't create a public game in Peggle 2 and have your own settings, because smart match is just sitting there waiting. You can't make your own lobby, you can't invite people unless it's a private game. So if you want to just play with your friend and then play with some randoms or make your own settings, you're stuck in a private game. There's nothing you can do. unless you just both go in a smart match and you hope that you get in the same game, which is probably possible now because not that many people are in the game, but it just makes zero sense why they chose to do it that way. And a lot of times, you'll be waiting for the smart match and you'll be playing single player and you'll be so invested into the single player game and it'll be like, oh, your smart match is ready. You can join the game now. Like by the time the thing even finds someone to play with, I don't even want to play the multiplayer anymore because I'm so invested in the single player. Because your only option besides playing single player is just sitting there and waiting on the main menu. So it's better to be doing something than nothing. So yeah, the online just makes zero sense in this game. I don't know why you can't create a public game or why you can't search for lobbies or create a public lobby. So if you just want to get on the game and play with randoms, you're kind of screwed. You just have to go into a smart match and wait, and there's no way to create settings or anything. So yeah, pretty stupid. But overall, the main problems with the games, there's also way another problem is that there's way less levels in this game. Even if you count up all the levels in this game and the DLC, it's barely more than deluxe. I think it's like one. Hold on. So there's there's so there's 20. There's 7 masters and they all get 20 levels. So yeah, barely even more than Peggle 1. And if you count the DLC, then it's still barely more. And if you count Knights for Peggle 1, then Peggle 1 and Knights blow this game's content out of the water. So there's less content, the online is messed up. Peggle 2 just could have done so much better by just at least being on PC, at least having a better online, more leaderboards, more masters, better physics. This game could have been so much better than it was, but this game's really just gonna be remembered for that stupid E3 introduction, and that's really about it. Because when you're talking about Peggle, you're either talking about the original Peggle, which is the classic, you're talking maybe Knights, or you're talking about how bad or like pay to win Blast is, and 2 is just kind of stuck in that no man's land of, well, it's not that great, but it's not bad either, so it's probably just going to be forgotten for pretty much the end of time.